Can covered courts give British tennis its next boost? Sports governing body seeks to attract more people by investing in multi-use, urban facilities. Having arrested the long-term decline in the number of people playing tennis, Scott Lloyd has set himself a new challenge, defeating the British weather. Lloyd, pictured above, who has been chief executive of the Lawn Tennis Association since 2018, is seeking fresh funding from the government and the private sector to build dozens of covered sports hubs across the country. The hope is that grassroots enthusiasts then play tennis, and its upstart rival padel, all year round, and not just during the summer months around the Wimbledon Championships, which start on Monday. The All England Club, which runs the Grand Slam, is the LTA's biggest source of funds. It distributes 90% of its profits to the body, which last year reached almost £50 million. The LTA believes its planned hubs would cost £1.8 million, 2 million per site, potentially less than half the amount needed for an indoor tennis center of a similar size. The aim is to give more people more chances to play by fitting canopies over courts, after a previous investment in courts in parks led to a surge in participation. We have 1,600 indoor tennis courts in this country, roughly, whereas France has 9,000. The Czech Republic has 10 times more indoor tennis courts per capita than we do. So we are a long way behind our European counterparts, said Lloyd, who previously ran the David Lloyd Health Club chain set up by his father. The initial plans would cost about £80 million, with the LTA seeking some state funding to underwrite the project and help attract outside investment. The new centers would also be multi-use, potentially housing small basketball or netball courts, for example, and designed to withstand the British climate. Tennis, like many other sports, is facing the challenge of an increasingly crowded market for attention, especially among young people. A recent report by Ofcom, the media regulator, showed waning interest in watching live tennis among those aged 18 to 34 since 2019. Some traditional tennis clubs had been suffering falling membership, but the addition of padel courts has helped to halt the decline. The young racket sport, which mixes elements of tennis and squash, has been growing rapidly in the UK. It now has more than 400,000 regular players and will soon reach 1,000 courts nationwide, up from 600 at the start of this year. The LTA, which governs both tennis and padel in the UK, has in the past come under fire for wasting money, changing strategy too often and failing to develop promising young players. Previous attempts to broaden the appeal of tennis have been largely unsuccessful. A year after taking over, Lloyd launched a 5-year plan, dubbed Tennis Opened Up, to overhaul the organization, revitalize British tennis, and make it more inclusive. The practical reality was that tennis was perceived as a traditional, middle-class sport, difficult to access, difficult to play, expensive. And some of those things were true, but not all, said Lloyd. We want as many different people as we can to be interested in tennis. To improve access, the LTA spent about £45 million resurfacing more than 3,000 courts across the country, many of them owned by cash-strapped local authorities. Half of that money came from the Department of Culture, Media, and Sport. It also introduced an app to make it easier to book a court and rolled out a standardized training program for school-age children, a national curriculum for tennis.